Welcome to the John and Heidi Show podcast.
John and Heidi.
Here's John and Heidi.
Today is a special day, Heidi. Do you know what today is?
What is today, John?
I thought you'd never ask. It's Wednesday, the 10th day of April. Today is National Encourage a Young Writer Day.
Ah, we
It's a
do
good
that
thing to
a
do.
lot.
We do encourage young writers. If you're a writer and you're young, you can do it.
We encourage you.
Okay, it's also National Siblings Day. So if you have brothers and sisters, today's a good day to call them. If you don't have brothers and sisters, just pick on somebody that's random and pretend like it's your brother and sister.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't listen to John.
Okay, maybe not. National Cinnamon Crescent Day today, National Farm Animals Day today, and National Bookmobile Day today. It's National Library Week this whole week. Did you know that?
Oh, I did not know that.
So celebrate with your favorite library. Also, have a guest coming up. Going to be visiting with Richard Pryor today.
No.
Now, you may be thinking, I thought he died. He did. This is his son, Richard Pryor Jr. He's got a new book out called In a Pryor Life, and it talks about growing up with a famous dad and also a lot of wild and crazy things that he did growing up. So I'm excited to visit with Richard Pryor Jr. coming up later in the program.
Do you have a pretty good sense of humor? You might like this. Early in the morning each day and every day, we share something weird to make people laugh at weirdgiftoftheday.com. You don't need to sign up for anything. You don't even need to spend a penny. Just follow the page on Facebook and get a smile to start each day when we share the weird gift of the day. Not on Facebook? That's okay. You can see the weird gifts on our website too. weirdgiftoftheday.com. That's weirdgiftoftheday.com.
Now, surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.net. A study published by The Lancet found that 1 in 5 people are eating their way to an early death because of unhealthy eating habits. Why are you pointing at me?
Well, it's both of us.
Yeah,
I wasn't pointing.
We just had this conversation yesterday.
Yes, we did.
She was telling me that some of my healthy eating choices are not so healthy.
We were reading through a list of this buffet.
Like,
Which days are you going to
that one
this
looks
buffet?
Good. Wait, want to join me for that?
No, I don't want to go to that.
It's not good.
Gosh.
All right. Surveys and studies and such brought to you by BetterCreditCards.net.
Is your credit card a good fit for you? How did you even get the card you have now? Was it mailed to you? Those are usually the worst cards. They typically have higher fees and rates. Someone has to pay all that postage to mail out millions of cards every day. If you like a better credit card, check out the website bettercreditcards.net. This is a great place to find the cards that are usually a better fit for you. bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
And this is Your Brain on Drugs, brought to you by TimeForRehab.com. Police say a man admitted to taking a Wayne State University bus on a joyride through the Ann Arbor area. And this happened because he was a little tipsy, we'll say. 6:15 a.m., March the 29th, a bus was taken from a gas station.
Tipsy at 6:15 a.m.
Well, I think he was drunk from the night before.
Holy cow.
He added that he was stolen after the driver left the bus running and went inside a gas station. That's when this guy thought, oh, here's my chance. Said about an hour later, 7:15, they spotted the bus on I-94 near Ann Arbor, Michigan.
Holy
They stopped the
cow.
bus on I-94 and field sobriety tests on the driver, 59-year-old Detroit man. This says they believe that the man was drunk. He uttered without being asked, "The keys were in it, so I took it." He was arrested for possession of a stolen vehicle and suspected operating while under the influence. He was taken to the hospital for a blood draw. The man had already had 16 misdemeanor warrants along with 21 driving suspensions. So, yeah, that's not good. He made some bad choices, and sounds like many of them.
You know how many people he could have taken out with a giant bus?
Yeah, it's a bad thing. Not
Lock
a good plan.
him up.
Yeah.
I mean, with 21 suspensions,
He's
there's
not
clearly
learning.
not learning
No.
his
It's what
lesson.
happens, though, when your brain is on drugs.
John and Heidi.
Now, big screen, little screen, brought to you by ChannelSurferTV.com. The Queen of England. I'm not sure why I have it in this section. I think because Meghan Markle was in movies and TV and stuff before she became a whatever she is. Is she a princess? Royalty? Whatever she is. Well, the Queen has banned Meghan Markle from wearing the crown jewels that were made famous by Princess Diana. So she's like, hey, I like those crown jewels. Can I wear them? And the Queen said, no, you cannot.
Well, I don't think anybody should be.
I don't think
wearing
it quite
them,
went
should
down
they?
like that. She should have her own crown jewels. Come up with your own thing. By the way, for those of you who made it to the movies over the weekend, take a listen to these box office numbers. Shazam took in $53.4 million to debut at the top of the box office. Another newcomer, Pet Sematary, which is like a remake of the 80s version, finished a distant second at $25 million. Last weekend's champ Dumbo dropped to third place, $18.2 million. Us slipped to fourth place at $13.8. Captain Marvel made only $12.6 million to finish fifth. We made it to the movies, but none of those. We went to Unplanned. Unbelievable movie. Thanks for listening to The John and Heidi Show.
Here's a fun trip back to the 80s.
Surely you can't be serious.
Join us in Las Vegas for 80s in the Desert May 3rd and 4th. Hang out with other 80s fans.
International language of love.
Meet several 80s icons from the movies and rock out to awesome music from the 80s. Flock of Seagulls, The Romantics, Mr. Scandal with Patti Smythe, Thomas Dolby, Pretty Poison, and more. See the full list of bands and icons at radiotravelgroup.com. That's radiotravelgroup.com.
Now, your scoop of the day brought to you by BetterCreditCards.net. The Labor Department revealed that the U.S. added 196,000 jobs during the month of March alone. That's a lot of jobs.
That is a whole lot of jobs.
So if you're looking for a job, they probably have one somewhere. Pabst Blue Ribbon is in the news for two things. First, they revealed a new beer. What happened to me? A new beer. They released two new beers for spring. The first one is a non-alcoholic beer.
Okay.
So for those of you who want, all the delicious goodness of Pabst Blue Ribbon without that pesky alcohol, I don't know. I'm not sure exactly why they have that. But it's cool that they have that. And then they have another one that's called PBR Extra, and that's the other beer, and it's twice as strong as the original PBR. So now you can go with Pabst Blue Ribbon with no alcohol, with the regular amount of alcohol, or twice as much alcohol.
There you go.
Which one do you think will be the most popular, Heidi? Any guesses?
No, I'm not even going to go there.
I'll bet it's going to be the one with twice as much alcohol. Makers of Lunchables are making a new thing called Brunchables. Because they said, hey, we've done really well with lunch. What happens if maybe we dive into breakfast now, too?
Right.
Brunchables. It is a build-your-own sandwich featuring, has a build-your-own sandwich feature that teaches kids the art of self-reliance. So that's what they're saying.
Okay.
It's just a way to
I don't think
package
so.
breakfast foods, guys. I mean, kudos to you for trying, but
yeah, nice try.
No, it's not like this is some sort of learning thing. It's like, hey, if you have these, your kids will be smarter, and they'll be able to fend for themselves with, lunch meats that are already pre-cut and packaged for them.
Yeah.
A new book called Area 51 Uncensored chronicles the UFO landing, the supposed UFO landing from Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. That happened a long, long time ago, and there's still a lot of questions as to exactly what happened. Do you think this book, Area 51 Uncensored, do you think this will answer all the questions?
No, I don't think there's anything new in that.
The lingering questions?
Right, no.
Well, there's got to be something new. Otherwise, they wouldn't put out a book.
How many people keep putting out books and it's the same stuff over and over and over?
So what did we learn
again?
from this? Apparently anyone can put out a book. So my book will be available next week. No, it won't. I would love to write a book. I just don't know what to write a book on. I'm like, I don't know enough about anything really to write a book on it. I could talk to you about it for 5 minutes, but to write a whole book? Maybe I could do a children's book. I don't know.
Let's not write books.
A Charlotte, North Carolina couple celebrated 82 years of marriage this week. Aww. It's one of the longest unions on record. The husband is 103 and the wife is 100.
Wow.
82 years they've been married. That is very impressive. Also impressive, ABBA, the band.
Yeah.
I've also heard that pronounced ABBA.
ABBA.
Do you say ABBA or ABBA?
I've always said ABBA, but
ABBA?
I'm sure I'm wrong.
I've heard it both ways. They've announced a new song. And it's their first song in 37 years. It's going to be coming out this September.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see if they can crank out a hit.
I wonder if it's all the original people.
I don't know. I'm not sure. And the wife of the drug... I'm trying to say this. I can't talk right now. The wife of the jailed drug kingpin, El Chapo.
Yeah.
Boy, sounds like I'm on something. I'm not, I promise
I know what
you.
we're talking about.
So... El Chapo's wife just started a fashion line inspired by her husband.
Oh, my gosh.
So what is that going to be? Like prison blues? What does that mean?
I don't know.
Hopefully not his current attire because he's in prison right now. So anyway, the wife of the jailed drug kingpin. Hey, I said it that time. El Chapo.
She'll probably make a fortune on it,
Probably.
too.
Yeah, I don't know. And then one last story that we're going to get to here. A video has gone viral of a goat tried to board a bus in Utah.
Aww.
So they had like this goat that was trying to climb on board the bus. I'm not exactly sure where this goat wanted to go. But, if you're a goat, where would you want to go? I don't know. Anywhere but where you're at, I suppose. So this goat was trying to climb on the bus, and there's some really adorable video footage of that. I think goats are really cool, but I don't know that I would want my own.
It'd be nice if they would just mow the lawn for you.
See, that's the thing I think is cool. They're like a lawnmower that you don't put gas in. You have to feed them a lot. Got to clean up after them, I suppose. But I don't know. I don't know if that weighs out, if that's a lot easier than just mowing the lawn or not. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. This has been your Scoop of the Day, brought to you by BetterCreditCards.net.
Do you have IRS tax problems? Are they keeping you up at night? Afraid to open your own mail or even answer your telephone? If your tax problems are affecting your family life, you need to know you have options. You have rights, and we'll make sure you get them. Call and speak with Mike Habib, the tax expert who will handle your case at 877-78-TAXES or online at myirstaxrelief.com. That's 877-78-TAXES or myirstaxrelief.com.
Thank you for listening to the John and Heidi Show. We've got a special guest joining us today, Richard Pryor Jr., and he's got a book out called In a Prior Life. It actually just came out today. It's available today. Now, I got to tell you, Richard, I'm a big fan of your father. I absolutely adored him. I thought he was so funny, and I bet you hear that a lot because there were a lot of people that absolutely adored your father.
Yeah, they truly did, and it's a great thing to hear, and I never get tired of hearing that because my father meant a lot to me because he was my father, but he meant a lot to the world because of what he brought to the table as far as to the world of comedy. And it's appreciative to hear that people still adore him and loved him and thought he was an asset to his craft.
And I was reading in the info, your father passed away in 2005. That just doesn't seem right. It seems like it was just the other day.
Yes.
And you've had an absolutely fascinating life. You've had a chance to do many, many things. First of all, thank you so much for your service in the Navy. Let's talk about some of the other things that you've done with your life and some of the cool opportunities that you've had.
While I was in the military, I started doing drag. I was doing military and female impersonating all at the same time. And then I was working on some of my dad's films, doing production work. So I was always doing stuff within the business if I could. Any kind of way I could be a part of the entertainment industry, I was doing it, whether it was extra work or anything like that. I wanted my feet in the water with it in regards to that.
One of the other cool things you've had a chance to do is be in movies. So what was it like to be in the spotlight?
To me, it's actually a natural thing for me. In front of a camera on stage, it's like I don't feel that. I feel the nervous energy because I feel that if you're never nervous, I think you're overconfident. So I'm always nervous, but it's something about being in front of a camera that once the director says action or something, it's like you become something totally different, and you're able to turn on those things that you don't do naturally. So the part of me that's an introvert, those things are washed away once I'm in front of a camera on stage. I can just be who I want to be during those times when I'm doing it until they say cut. And then I go back to my regular stuff. Now,
your father is one of the most well-known comedians of all time, and I see you've even had a chance to step into his footsteps and perform at the Hollywood Comedy Store. What was it like to get up on that stage where your dad was just a legend and to do that yourself?
It was horrendous. It was horrible. It was a horrible, horrible, horrible thing. I don't know why I subjected myself to that. And, thought I could go through it and handle it. It was just really a tough thing. When you're not accepted any way you do it. I wasn't accepted if I did my own thing because, you're definitely not as funny as your father. But if I told stories that were my stories, but they were similar to my dad's because they were my stories and because we were raised similar, I was trying to be him. So it was a no-win situation with me doing a stand-up, so that's why I was like, I got to find something else, so that's why I moved to singing and then, performing, I could do the improv and all those things, or if a script's written in front of me that's a comedy, I could do that, but I said I'm no longer going to stand up and do that 5 minutes or those 3 minutes or those 15 minutes trying to make people laugh. not going to do it.
Again, our guest right now is Richard Pryor Jr., and he's got a new book out called In a Pryor Life. It kind of chronicles a lot of the different things you've had a chance to do. We've talked about some of them. Have a Navy background, also did some work in drag, and then you did some comedy for a bit. You had a chance to be a performer in some movies, and then here's one that's just a little different here. You worked in ministry and even do some gospel singing. That's really cool. I think that's awesome, but how was that received? It's so different from everything else that you've done.
Yeah, it wasn't a thing of weird to me because life is full of changes and transitions. So I never looked at it as like, oh my God, I did this. Now I'm way on the other side of the spectrum doing this. I never looked at that. I looked at it as a journey in my life. And this is what I'm having to do now during this journey. This is what I'm actually doing. And that's still the way I like to live. Not putting myself in a bubble, but this is what I'm doing at this moment. This is what I'm about. This is who I'm talking to. This is what I'm doing at this very moment. Because I don't know what tomorrow holds for me. I don't know what a month down the line is going to be like. I don't know what's going to happen, what's going to transpire, what's going to trigger me to want to go deeper into who I am or deeper into a situation that may have happened in my life.
And Richard is also a very talented singer. I see that you've recorded several gospel songs.
Yeah, I love performing. I've always, been born and raised in church. I'm still singing church and everything with praise and worship and team. But I just love performing, period. I love being on stage and singing, and that's one thing I love about living in New York City is doing the cabaret and being able to do your one-man shows and all those things, and just being able to show your talents and who you are as a person. Because in New York City, if you perform, they don't care what your name is. If you're horrible, they're going to let you know.
Yeah, that's very true. Again, his name is Richard Pryor Jr. He's been our guest today, and he's got a new book called In a Pryor Life. Richard, thank you so much for taking time to chat with us.
Thank you for having me on your show. I truly appreciate it.
Again, the book is available as of today. It just came out. It's called In a Pryor Life, and it is a book by Richard Pryor Jr. I have a link to it in the show notes at johnandheidishow.com.
Is your credit card a good fit for you? How did you even get the card you have now? Was it mailed to you? Those are usually the worst cards. They typically have higher fees and rates. Someone has to pay all that postage to mail out millions of cards every day. If you like a better credit card, check out the website bettercreditcards.net. This is a great place to find the cards that are usually a better fit for you. Bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
Fun fact for you, Heidi.
What's that, John?
Shakespeare's tombstone in Stratford's Holy Trinity Church bears the inscription said to have been written by him, "Good friend, for Jesus' sake, forbear to dig the dust enclosed here. Blessed be the man that spares these stones, and cursed be the man who moves my bones." Wow. I was going to put that same thing on my tombstone, but now I'm not. That's
awfully confusing.
Quite the inscription.
It sounds like something one of the bad guys on Scooby-Doo would have yelled while they were chasing him.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks for listening. Now
That's how cultured I am.
You have our literary reference now. You know right where we are. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.
Here's a fun trip back to the 80s.
Surely you can't be serious.
Join us in Las Vegas for 80s in the Desert May 3rd and 4th. Hang out with other 80s bands.
International language of love.
Meet several 80s icons from the movies and rock out to awesome music from the 80s. Flock of Seagulls, The Romantics, Mr. Scandal with Patti Smythe, Thomas Dolby, Pretty Poison, and more. See the full list of bands and icons at radiotravelgroup.com. That's radiotravelgroup.com.
Now, fear this. Time for fun with phobias. Lygrophobia. 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 You'll never guess this
I
one.
have no idea.
Fear of loud noises. What?
Oh, okay.
I thought it was a fear of ligers. Isn't that a lion and a tiger? Isn't that Napoleon Dynamite's favorite?
I think it was on Napoleon
liger.
Dynamite, yeah.
Yeah, so lygrophobia, the fear of loud noises. Apparently ligers are loud.
Huh.
Must be. Thanks for listening to Fun with Phobias.
Do you have a pretty good sense of humor? You might like this. Early in the morning each day and every day, we share something weird to make people laugh at WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. You don't need to sign up for anything. You don't even need to spend a penny. Just follow the page on Facebook and get a smile to start each day when we share the weird gift of the day. Not on Facebook? That's okay. You can see the weird gifts on our website too. WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. That's WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com.
Now, some weird news brought to you by WeirdGiftOfTheDay.com. This may be a first, Heidi. I don't think we've ever talked about the Bloods and the Crips on this program before.
I think we might have before.
I don't know when we would have. But this is a really cool, this is almost my good news, but it was more weird news than it was good news. The Bloods and the Crips marched peacefully together for the first time in 27 years. They did this to honor the death of rapper Nipsey Hussle. Nipsey was known as a guy who, I guess, invested heavily in his community, and he had no ill will with the Bloods or the Crips, so both of the gangs decided to march side by side to honor this man when he died. How cool is that?
That's amazing.
They were happy to work together on this. So imagine if, in the passing of Nipsey Hussle, if this could turn into some sort of, first step in the right direction.
Some wonderful humanitarian effort.
I think that, how cool would that be? And that, I think, like I said, was almost my good news for today because it is good news. But I was like, well, that's more weird news. And we've got a really good news story. So we're going to get to that.
That's lovely.
It is lovely. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday. Now, your moment of duh, brought to you by FunkyMonkeyShirts.com. We head to Oregon where a man is accused of faking a burglary to cover up money that he stole from the Girl Scouts.
That's not nice.
Yeah, this 40-year-old man has a daughter that's in the Girl Scouts. She was selling some cookies, and 40-year-old Brian Coutre pled not guilty of charges of initiating a false report and improper use of emergency reporting system. He called 911 on March 6th and reported somebody had gotten into his home through a sliding glass door.
And stole Girl Scout money.
And it led to a struggle. When they got there, he was unresponsive. He was taken to the hospital.
What?
The area was searched, but no suspect was located. Later, he admitted that, he made up the whole darn thing.
How did he make himself unresponsive?
Knocked himself out somehow? I don't know. Detectives determined that he tried to conceal the theft of about $740 worth of cookie sales. So I don't know if he ate all the cookies or if he took the money and spent the cash. Wow. I'm not sure what he did. $740.
That's like 6 boxes of cookies.
That's way more than that. But that is a lot of cookie cash right there. So I've got a link to the story if you want to read all about it. That is just crazy. Bad idea. It's today's moment of duh.
Is your credit card a good fit for you? How did you even get the card you have now? Was it mailed to you? Those are usually the worst cards. They typically have higher fees and rates. Someone has to pay all that postage to mail out millions of cards every day. If you like a better credit card, check out the website bettercreditcards.net. This is a great place to find the cards that are usually a better fit for you. Bettercreditcards.net. That's bettercreditcards.net.
Now, these 3 things. Heidi, tell me, what do these 3 things have in common? A golfer, a caveman, and Mickey Mouse. What do they all have in common?
A golfer, a caveman, and Mickey Mouse?
Yeah.
They all have ears.
Well, yeah, they probably do. What does a golfer use to hit a ball?
A club.
And Mickey Mouse has.
Mickey Mouse club.
And a caveman has a club.
And a caveman carries a club.
I don't know if a caveman really carried a club, but according to this, they did.
Okay.
So there you go. Clubs. They all have clubs. It's these.
Same thing with the Bloods and the Crips.
Would you stop? Thanks for listening.
They probably don't like to be called clubs, do they?
I don't know. I think they do, actually.
You want to join our club?
I think that's what they call it. Instead of a gang, they call it a club. Let's move on. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show. This portion of the John and Heidi Show is brought to you by the John and Heidi Show. That sounds kind of funny, but it's true. Go to your local radio station and ask them to start carrying the John and Heidi Show. Here's the best part. They can carry the show for free. They play a couple commercials, but it doesn't cost them anything every month. So if you know a radio station that could use a little bit of help, send them our way. Send them to johnandheidishow.com. Again, johnandheidishow.com. We would love to do a radio program in your community. Then you could listen to the podcast and listen to us on the radio.
John and Heidi.
We always like to wrap things up around here with good news, and I think this is good news. Comes your way courtesy of RadioTravelGroup.com. There's a big event coming up less than a month away now in Las Vegas, Nevada. 80s in the Desert. Heidi will be there. I will be there.
Yes, I will.
Her dad, Charlie, from Tuesdays with Charlie, will be there. All of the details on the rest of the trip at RadioTravelGroup.com. The high school in this community stays open every Friday night to keep the students off the street. That's in Newark, New Jersey. They open the doors every Friday night in an effort to keep the kids off the streets and out of trouble. Hundreds of kids pack the hallways of West Side High School every Friday night because it's space that is free of fear. It's part of the Lights On program, which is open to kids of all ages. Kids are fed a hot meal, encouraged to play some sports, some video games, or even lay down some music tracks in a recording studio.
Nice.
Says, anything that keeps me off the streets, I'll do it, one student said. Selling drugs and stuff, I'm not into that. He said, I just realized that if I come here, I'll see my friends, according to another student. And the principal of the school, Mr. Cook, said they made headlines last year by opening a free laundry room for the students. Oh, I remember that. And he says, we haven't lost any kids to gun violence since the start of the school year, which is awesome. The Lights On program made possible by donations from the community. So if you're hearing this and you're going, hey, I like that, you can make that happen. Goes to show you a school can become the center of a community, and if they care about kids and just want to give them a chance. I've got a link to the story if you want to read all about it in the show notes for today at johnandheidishow.com. Time to say goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, Heidi.
Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the John and Heidi Show on a Wednesday.